we are going with Venustar, also known as Loyalheart 96. Oh.
They get a goal?
No need. Oh, you want to hit him?
Oh, these people, these talk. People constantly talking. Shut up, people. So let's see what happens here. Oh, also it's the square. What is the square? Xbox? PS2? PS4? I'm sorry, I forget.
They got a widow. I got a golden Winston gun to show off.
When did I learn of the Skya flank on the left side? Immediately?
Oh, you guys are right. I'm so slow, dude.
It's in my double jump video from like a year ago. So he's Reinhardt. He's pushing up. And he's swinging.
Oh, sweet.
He's having a little...
Oh, come on. She's so low.
So, I would already say he has a little bit of an issue keeping things within his sight lines.
Yeah, problem is everyone else died. Hanzo's fucking kicking ass.
I just want everyone to notice the Reinhardt was complaining that everyone else is dying. A Reinhardt that didn't use a shield was bitching that everyone was dying.
Wait, what?
Alright, we regroup.
Alright.
Yo, he's up top, he's up top, he's up top. I'm gonna go in deep for this fucker.
Oh shit. Oh shit, my bad. My bad, fam.
Yo, he's one hit.
Okay.
Sarah.
Okay.
Oh, that's far. I tried getting her.
It's just... Is this just a DPS Reinhardt?
Oh, never mind. Shit, what the fuck we gonna need?
That Hanzo, though. I got Earth Shatter. I'll fucking use it next fight and...
Oh, shoot, we got EMP.
Got EMP.
So overall, just use your shield more. That's the only thing I can tell you right now. You're trying to do everything yourself.
Shall we follow EMP?
Lucio, what are you doing?
Reaper behind us, Reaper behind us.
Put the shield back up. Let your team deal with the Reaper.
I'm gonna go for that, I'm gonna go for that,
Pushing. That was EMP.
Mercy's one, Mercy's literally one.
Yo, Lucio's one.
Oh, the Hanzo. So, when you do charging with Reinhardt,
Yes, he is.
don't try to go for specific kills. I know it's a weird thing to say, but with Reinhardt,
Oh gosh.
you're kind of going for odds, because Reinhardt's hitbox with charge is super finicky, and when he was charging, he kind of aimed for this wall a couple times. If you just aim for the open spot, there's going to be someone in there that you're going to hit. Like, you're just upping your chances.
No! Fucking kidding me.
And then he gets booped out.
Real spud.
So far is a non-shielding Reinhardt complaining that his team's dying too quick.
I'm sure for it, so he's gonna get fucked this round. Hanzo's just gonna shoot random arrows, dude. That's the annoying part. They far behind us. Any help? Can you heal me? He's just not.
Okay, there you go. That's one way to bully down the support.
Sarah's dead.
I haven't seen that Hanzo.
You got beat up.
I pushed Hanzo off beginning of the round.
Nice.
Careful, I heard that echo arrow.
Don't push too much. Watch far.
Yo, Lucio, you're ballsy, dude. Fuck off.
Yo, far's on the right.
Yeah, Barrett's right side.
Shut down.
Okay, just be very careful when you're diving in like that.
You run right, no
I know you saw two, but you saw two pretty dangerous targets. There you go. Diving in. Now, since you're not really communicating good information,
Focusing Hanzo.
if you start seeing an enemy get hit, that's the enemy you want to dive on.
Let's stay in this room.
Lucio, watch Lucio. Oh, what the hell is he doing?
So watch. So instead of you initiating, wait for your team to, and just see what they're doing. See what they're up to.
Let him know. I have high name. Fuck you, brother, man. Watch Reaper. Reaper can all.
Remember, you get the extra jump from reverting form.
Kill Diva, kill Diva.
Damage Winston.
Okay.
Damage guys.
Heal me! Don't damage me, heal me!
Oh, I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you.
What? This guy just spinning the hammer on me, dude.
He's bad.
So with that one,
Though.
let's actually go back. So actually, I like this decision
He was on point.
Kill Diva, kill Diva.
where you don't pay attention to the diva, right? Because we'll switch to red. That your team's over here messing with the diva, and you're like, that's good. You're holding the choke point. This is really important.
Damage Winston.
The problem is you kind of right here you undo your decision, and that gives the choke point back to the enemy.
Oh, I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you.
What? This guy just spinning the hammer on me, dude.
He's bad. The McCree's bad. I died though.
Oh, that was the ceiling. So put down an. Okay. Whenever you see yourself getting in a fight, throw down the bubble and start playing the shield game. Especially when they're stuck in a very small area like this. So if they're stuck in here, you could put the bubble down right here. Like, essentially you get the bubble going right there. And that way you can harass them as long as they're in the room. It's no big deal. It's a skill that comes off cooldown relatively easily, relatively quick. I say relatively quick just because it stays up for a bit. I know it's like, what, a 14-second cooldown?
Alright,
Yeah,
back
I'm
off,
out.
back off.
Yeah.
Jesus, good Hanzos are terrifying.
Oh my gosh, he's getting damage boost as well.
Oh shit, you think they're good? Huh? Imagine a good as a widow.
Whoa, he just flicked my ass.
Okay.
Yo, Mercy
Fuck
top.
up. Fuck up, this guy's singing.
Mercy
This
top.
guy's-
Get out of there.
I'm trying to get the Hanzo, but he all Mercy would do is heal him.
So, just little information. Winston, 60 deeps. Mercy, 60 healing. If you have to reload and you went through all 100 shots of your gun, just jump out as soon as you can.
Hanzo's not even looking at me. He's literally killing me with
Oh, I
his
killed him, but he scatter arrowed me, dude.
Winston is 70? I thought I've always assumed, actually I thought Winston was always 60.
Buckle up, this guy's singer's loaded.
So you go, again, bubble?
You res me?
Yo, good
Nah, I
meme,
can't.
good meme.
I won't make it on time.
There it is. It's 12-second cooldown on bubble.
Watch dragons, watch dragons.
Baby?
They far again.
Oh gosh, I got cut.
He's one.
Watch far, watch
Hmm.
far. I'm coming for.
I can't get
Push
close
me,
to this
push me
guy.
now.
I can't
Deeps
get
versus
close to this
heaps.
guy, Winston.
They won that, just get out of there.
Everyone dead.
Yeah, it is 60. It's 3 damage per piece of ammo, or per tick.
This guy's
He does 20 ticks per second, so that's 60 damage. Yeah.
Oh, I'm dead.
So yeah, so it's perfectly equal. There you go, there you go. So those that don't know, Winston's landing does 49 damage. It does 1 damage on takeoff.
shit.
But it also does reduce damage from the center of the... Sorry.
We got him.
Just getting over a cold.
Actually, it's gonna get
Winston's leap damage does do
We're gonna jump on it, so we can kill him faster.
fall off. So the closer you are to the center, the more damage it does, up to 49.
coming.
I know what you did.
Whatever, should you jump, right?
Yo, Mercy's half.
And yes, Winston's leap from the start does 1 damage because it's killed me before. I don't know if this is a controller issue, not a controller issue, but a thing for console issue. But you don't look where you're landing a lot.
Hanzo's behind, Hanzo's behind.
No, don't.
I got ulted.
Dude. Wait, I got it now. Oh, fucking hell. No.
I'm coming.
Stop rezzing people.
Winston live.
That was, I mean, you're staying on your target. I think you're doing things fine there.
Get the Diva. Hanzo.
No melee. Yeah, he could do the melee, but again, it's overall
Oh, this is gonna get
stuff that I'm worried about. The sensitivity on console is weird and hard to balance. Yeah, so you want to at least see where you're landing, and it really behooves you to know what you're landing on.
Don't play Roadhog.
Alright, you're going back. Going back, Reinhardt. So the Winston play wasn't terrible. A little bit too overcommitted at times.
Yeah, they have Widow.
Oh.
'Cause obviously they got Widow.
They got Widow, dude.
Reaper too.
Oh, that Junkrat.
Ricky's dead. Kill me?
Yeah, worry about the choke point. The Reinhardt, I mean, you're going to have to deal with in due time.
Yeah, I need to keep you alive. Damn it, but I died. No.
That's Sarah.
Let's go fight Mega, bro.
Flint Strike? Okay, you made it out. Ah, no!
Fucking obviously Zarya.
No, I need that help.
Don't just turn around like that.
Oh my fucking god.
So, Junkrat betrayed hard.
Oh, you fucking maniac. Yo, reset.
Yeah, reset.
Okay, so back to Ryan, or back to Winston. And that's probably for the Widow issue.
I'll be jumping after as well.
But I want the Mercy as well, dude. Because it's
Stay
like,
with me, Winston, and bubble me when I hide in.
If we jump right, they have the winner.
should I jump the Widow or the Mercy? What do you think?
Yeah, she gonna be a problem. Yeah, go ahead. Look at hero shots.
Oh my god. Wait, is the bar here? What the fuck?
Yeah, the fire.
Weaver's flanking.
Okay.
Right. Weaver's on our D.
So you kind of gonna need to get in there and start shielding.
Let's go point. Go straight point. Keep pushing.
Well, at least attack her.
Keep pushing point.
Is there Mercy or is that ours?
Okay, yeah, and that's what a Widow will do. So, with the bubble down, you more or less zoned the Widow as best you could. You were stuck pretty far deep in. You weren't going to be able to get much help. And a good Widow is going to do exactly what they did to you. If your bubble isn't up, they're going to shoot you in the face as you dive in.
Mercy's weak.
So you need to dive, deploy as you're jumping in. There you go. That was a good one.
That was still up there.
As you dive in, you need to bubble and then play the shield game, and that's how you win from there.
Fucking hell, dude. I have ult. I want to switch, but I have ult.
I got an ult too.
And then you, G-Mick. It's 5 month resub. Thank you. 5 month resub.
Yeah, we gotta go now. We got 10 seconds.
Your shatter.
So, you played the shield game as best as you could. The problem was it was a Reaper and it was Reaper getting healed. You actually lasted a lot longer than I thought you would.
I need help in the back, like.
But those type of mechanics is good because at least you have I would say the general idea of how to play Winston.
This far, I can't kill her, dude. I'm dead. She's low though, I think. She's not mega.
Okay, that's good.
Watch for Widow.
No, wait for me.
Havoc Star with the 8 month resub doesn't say anything.
1, 2, 3. Okay, cool.
So you're setting up for this Widow. Oh, she's up here.
You get sniped. It's my fault.
I'm staying on the right.
Holy shit!
push up.
I was trying to get the Widow. Fucking A.
So that right there was an okay idea, but the wrong timing. Essentially, as the entire team was over here, all 6, you jumped up. And not only that, you didn't use your shield. What you need to do is wait for the Widow to be alone, wait for the 5 to push in, and leave the Widow alone here, and that's when you jump in. You kind of wait. You didn't wait long enough.
God damn it.
I'm dead. That sound push him back on point, push back on point.
Touch point.
I'm coming in with Val.
Yep, and you did what you could there.
Goddamn Widow.
So this is just like we talked about before this game. You can't be like, oh, the Widow was a bait pick. The Widow is just a good Widow, and it requires a specific type of response. When that type of response doesn't work, then usually people have no idea what to do. So I think overall, you're not bad. Accuracy wise, so first of all, with Reinhardt, shield more. Shield more, fire blast more. Just use skills more. And use skills in high probability areas. HP areas. So with the high percentage areas is like it's the same how I shoot as Junkrat. I shoot where people are most likely going to be. So when you charge and you have an option of charging like straight to a wall or through a choke point, charge to the choke point. Same thing with Fire Blast. Fire Blast into the choke point. You know, unless you're aiming for something specific, you have a high chance of hitting something in this pathway. Skill usage outside of using it more with Winston. Usually just know that when you leap, look where you leap. And then almost always shield. And then start playing the shield game. A couple more often than not, that you dove in, you didn't use a shield, and you died really quick, or you stuck around too long. Remember, leaps on a 5-second cooldown, if I remember correctly, 5 or 6. Use it. If you can't get what you need to be done in those 5 seconds, get out. Unless like someone's like at 2 health or something. Most of the time, if they've had the correct response for you and your team isn't backing you up, you have to get out of there because you're expecting You're kind of expecting your team to bail you out of that situation, which at Plat is probably not going to happen. Your positioning. This also relates to timing. We briefly talked about it in that last point. Attack when they're weak. So with the Widow, and people would say it was just a stupid decision, and I would say no, it's the correct decision, because jumping on a Widow's Winston's not a dumb idea. The problem was your timing. The entire team was there. If you waited just a little bit, if you were really sneaky and you waited for them to jump up and do everything and then got on them, that would have been perfect. Because then the team would have been so far pushed up that the Widow would have been alone. Widow has nothing to do. They have to fall back off the choke point, and that makes your team win the main fight to deal with it, or the Widow has to just deal with you and most likely die. Action accuracy with these heroes, sure. I guess actually that would say, and I know Council is different, and I think this actually has a lot to do with action. Sensitivity. You're going to have to get used to it, and the only way to get used to it is playing more. Because this was affecting your tracking on all heroes, but I noticed it a lot on Rein. And also looking where you leap on your Winston. It was affecting that. So I can't. I don't have much advice for this. Just find a sensitivity that allows you to do what you do comfortably and get used to it, and then play with that a lot. Because you need to be able to do this. Especially with Winston, because you got to look up the leap and then do something else, and then look down, yada yada yada, stuff like that. Positioning skills. Yeah, Winston dive comp, I think it's tough to pull off at first. It's tough to pull off at lower levels, but at higher levels it starts working pretty well. There's a couple times you dove on the weak targets and you killed them. That's perfect. I'd actually, other with this is shield more. With Winston as well. There's a couple times you held the shield. I don't know why. Yeah. Also, if you're going to dive, so there's two ways to do this with dive. You start or you follow. Essentially, if you see someone get hit, that's when you follow. If your team doesn't have the ability or doesn't look like they can get a pick, and it's part of your team comp to dive, your team was Genji, Diva, Winston, and then you had, I believe McCree was the other DPS slot. So it's slightly divey. Just remember when you start the fight, your team has to back you up. So if your Genji's not there, if your Diva's not there, there's no one that can follow you into that fight. You're going to die. So just confirm that your teammates are nearby, or they're on the same wavelength as you. It's actually quite difficult to. And this is why people thought Winston was super weak, is because everyone kept on trying to play Winston alone. And as soon as you play Winston with like a little bit of defensive matrix and a little bit of DPS over the top, he's phenomenal. It's his consistent damage, even though it's low. I mean, he does 60 DPS, which is extremely low. But as soon as you get 2 to 3 people, I mean, you go up to 180 DPS, and all of a sudden you're doing more DPS than Junkrat. Well, this would be a little bit less than Junkrat, but still. Junkrat does 192, I believe, is his markings. But you're still above McCree's and Soldiers at that point. So it's the fact that you have this consistent damage over time. If anyone else can assist with it, you essentially negate healing and you allow other people to kill them. Yeah. So that's it for that one. And now we have